JB here, Tuesday, July 23rd, 2024. Welcome to Keep It Up Tuesday, at least for the markets. We'll see if the market can continue to hold its gains, recouping some of the losses from last week. Big earnings after the close today: Tesla, Google, Visa, amongst others. And then this morning, there was a whole slew of earnings, a lot of them coming in above expectations. General Motors, Coca-Cola, GE, Kimberly Clark. Then you have Spotify, Sherman-Williams. So is that a sign we're going to keep having a beat and raise environment? And some of these names that have been, looking to break all-time highs or 52-week highs are set up for that. I guess we'll find out. And after the close today is going to be a big one, especially with Google, kind of set the tone. Tesla last report, a little disappointing, but now it's the tailwind of some of the other possible revenue and profit drivers for Tesla. So the updates on that, they already talk about their robot, right? So anyway, not going to talk too much about that, but in regards to the SPY, want to see that 554 hold today. If things get dicey, 551, that's kind of my line in the sand. I'll look to get some more put hedges if that doesn't hold. But yesterday, I talked about on the rant yesterday afternoon, wild swings at the open, 554 down to 551, then back up to 554, and then back to 551, and then we melted higher and then chopped around for the rest of the day. Kind of a premium killing day for especially the names that I'm looking at. So hopefully we get a little more direction today, or at least things hold up, and some of the names that I watch can do better. If you look at the IWM, I was talking about this yesterday as well. Is this setting up for a potential bull flag? So we'll find out here today. Small caps are actually in the red right now. We're down IWMs at 219. So yesterday just a little relief bounce, and we're gonna head lower? I don't know. So anyway, in regards to earnings, nice little slide here. This came from MarketWatch. I forget what analyst put this out, but it's showing that the implied move for Google and Tesla, and I put this up, and I forget you can't see this. I have to share the screen, but Google and Tesla have historically low implied moves for this earnings after the close today. Does that mean there's an opportunity? Does that mean there's not much in the way of catalysts that are going to move the stocks? I don't know. They're typically not names I trade into earnings, so I'll probably just sit on the sidelines. But if you're looking for an opportunity, a lot of times when I do my earnings implied move slides, a lot of the things I'm looking at in those slides is seeing stocks that I think would probably have more of an outsized move, and the implied move is much lower. So it looks like a decent risk reward scenario. If you're looking at historicals, Tesla and Google look like maybe some out of the money puts or calls, right? Because the implied move is both directions. So nice little slide there. All right, so let me get into some of the individual names here. And first is CGC, and Canopy has been the name I've traded on and off for this year for some nice gains. There's been some crazy swings. There's been some nice melt ups. I was saying it yesterday on the rant. The cannabis sector reminds me of the DraftKings, the gambling legalization, right? That takes a while. You have to go through all these loopholes and a lot of state laws that have to be taken. It's not like you just go and the federal government says, "Oh, we're going to reclass you," and then it's approved in all the states across the country. That's not how it works, and it's a lot of effort, and that's why DraftKings struggled for a while because it costs so much money to do lobbying, which is crazy. That's a rant for another day. Lobbying, the politician side, all that needs to it costs hundreds of millions and billions of dollars. Even open casinos. I remember not Macau, Wynn back in the day was opening their casino in Massachusetts. I don't know how many hundreds of millions of dollars that cost just to get all the permits, and anyway, crazy stuff. So comparison is same with the cannabis sector, but to me, there's a lot of all these companies have a vested interest in getting it going. It's kind of like you see the snowball starting to pick up steam. A lot of some on the ballot in November. There's a lot of reforms and stuff that are going to be in place, especially in Florida. That's the big one. And you look at CGC; it just broke over its 50-day moving average yesterday. I kind of almost like to see this slow and steady to the upside. So got the $10 strikes. If it breaks over 10 in the coming days, I'll look to lock some of my 10 strikes in and get higher strikes. I still hold my $17 to $18 price target on CGC. So didn't want to see that run away. Yesterday was up nicely. I don't want to see it continue to go, and I have to pay higher for the strike. So I went and got those calls yesterday. A little disappointed yesterday with Square and U, and Square and U just seem to not find. If you look at the Square chart, the two daily, they have daily doji candles, very tight ranges, not doing much, and that's on the heels of its big sell off on Thursday after the upgrade. So I'm hoping I put on WatchList chalk up to consolidation, and then it's ready to get back over $70. If not, I get a little concerned that maybe it's going to head back under the 50 and the 200-day moving average. You have a potential death cross on Square, and I don't like to talk about the death cross. And I mean, unless I'm in puts, then it's a great conversation to have. But that's when the 50-day crosses under the 200-day moving average. The flip side is when you have the golden cross, which would be the 50-day moving over the 200-day moving average. So hopefully, don't have to have that conversation on Square. When I say Square, I mean block, and it can hold its ground here and start heading back over $70. Same with you. We'd love to see you over $17 later. Whether today, tomorrow, or later this week. Turn after the close yesterday. SEC finally came out. Citadel, Kenneth Griffin reported a 5.1% stake in Turn. So when your stake goes over 5%, you have to file with the SEC. So it's kind of a funny number that you would say whoever does their purchases say, hey, just buy 5.1% of Turn, right? I mean, unless you don't want to have too much, I guess, but then just buy 4% or 4.5%. Why did you have to go and buy 5.1%? So if you look at the filing, it says it's a passive stake. So he's not trying to, or they're not trying to do any kind of change with the company or do any activist things. I think it just bodes well. It's almost like, look at me. I'm gonna acquire this stake and show everybody that I have this stake in this company. So I think it sets it up for over $9. Finally, revisits the nines, heads higher. Not going to add any more strikes just yet on Turn. iRobot finally getting back near the 12 handle. It was hitting when I added the strikes last week. Still like this name. The lower interest rate environment just bodes well for companies that have all this debt. And then, you always have that backdrop. Amazon bought them out for a much higher valuation. So obviously there's some premium there that still needs to be extracted. So I think that heads higher in the coming days. So nice to see a rally yesterday. Hopefully some continuation, gets over $12 today. They announced some new Roomba combo vacuum. So I don't know if that sparks shares or what have you, but always good to have some news. Align Technologies, I think this is a 12% implied move right now for earnings after the close tomorrow. It's historically had some huge swings. It's sitting here right pretty much at 52-week lows. I was looking for calls yesterday. The premiums were kind of getting pulled out of the calls, so I'll wait. So I waited. So I'll probably look to get something today. Um, maybe some 330 strikes, maybe 320 strikes, depending what those look like, and then work for some premium build. And so tomorrow, look to close some roll out before the report. That's a line. SHW. So Sherman-Williams, one of the names I've used to trade a lot back in the day. It's kind of like a profit story. It's been struggling lately. Even this morning reported earnings, it kind of missed a little bit on the revenues, but then their profits came in above expectations. Some nice guidance, and it's right. I don't even know if the all-time high is 345, but it's close to it. So this could be a name that breaks a blue sky breakout, 355, 360. Only monthly strikes, so a little tougher to play on a spec play. But I may look to add some 360 strikes or so at the open just to play for move upside. On Sherman-Williams, Spotify. What else to say about this one? Been trading this on and off for the last couple months. It's going to open up at all-time highs here in the pre-market. Well, it's at 338 in the pre-market, all-time highs. So pending any crazy swing in the next 27 minutes, it's going to be at all-time highs at the open. Premium is going to be a little elevated, so it's going to be tough to try and trade this one at the open. So I might wait for the dust to settle and then maybe trade it for 355, 360 or higher before the week is out. Spot's always been a great story, and people always looked at Spot, and especially the bears, saying, "Oh, it loses money, But the company has I don't know, it's like $5-6 billion in cash. It might be more than that. Finally, spinning off like $400 million in free cash flow every quarter now. Their monthly active users has gone up. All the metrics, their average revenue per user, all those metrics have went up this past quarter. So it's probably it's like the next kick it needed to get to the 400, 450, 500 handle. So don't be surprised if you see me get some crazy stuff on Spot in the coming weeks, because I think that this is kind of like the quarter that's going to take the leashes off and let it run. That's Spotify. And then last but not least here is gold. And, I'll keep talking about gold in the coming days, pending any crazy move. 2450 or so might be the spot I say, okay, I'm done with the playing it for downside for now, and I'll wait for the dust to settle. But I just see the backdrop. I mean, it's rallied a lot so far this year, and I've already told you kind of the narrative and the thought process around getting some positions to trade it for downside. But I think it comes down to 2,300 bucks in the coming weeks. So I'll continue to look for opportunities to trade that to that level. I think that's about it. Roku is down here at 61.50. Tough, all the way down to 60 yesterday. No news. You would think there would be at least a bid in there with the Netflix earnings. Can't find a bid. Trying to think of some of the other names. Baidu. So Asia markets closed a little mixed overnight, but China markets were down. So sure enough, what happens? Baidu's back to that 90 handle. Hopefully that holds off. Holds that level and finally can get going. Yeah, and I think that's about it. I'll be back on audio later. VIX is under 15, so probably want to see that stay under 15 today. Otherwise, maybe maybe things get a little interesting. But that's it, folks. Let's have a great day. Rock and roll.